A number of violent incidents in which members of the SAPS have been killed. Studies have been done on the risk profile of SAPS members, circumstances of these killings on and off duty, and the motive of cop killers. Well, Dr. Chris de Kock is an independent crime analyst. We chat to him now from our Pretoria studios. Good afternoon, Chris. Always a pleasure having you on the SABC News Desk.
Good afternoon to you and the listeners.
The Noble incident making headlines, Chris. But just tell us quickly why you think this case in particular is a unique one.
I think it's a little bit unique. Look, the attack of police officers in police stations, especially to get firearms in the police station, that's not new. I mean, we had last year we had quite a few incidents where police stations came under attack in the middle of the night, and they got weapons. But this one is a little bit, I since it happened, I had a look, and it actually reminds one of what happened in Waco. You remember 1993 Waco, Texas, where the Grand Davidians were having their compound, a church where there was a cult, and they believed of the imminent return of Christ. And they had and they very similar characteristics. For example, the leaders of that cult had young ladies of 11-year-old as spiritual wives, and they also had weapons in the compound. When the FBI then eventually wanted to take them out, it led to the fight at Waco, and 75 people, and amongst them 25 children died. So there is some similarities. I think we had a bit of a unique situation in this case. But the attack on the police station as such, that wasn't unique, except that in this case they killed the police officers. In other cases they didn't necessarily kill police officers.
Chris, why is it still so dangerous to be in the employ of the SAPS right now? Surely there's a number of factors that come into play, including societal violence.
Well, we live in a very violent society, unfortunately, beautiful but violent society. And our criminals are not known as people, who have any respect for life. They will shoot, and if you don't shoot first, if you're a police officer, and there we can learn a lot from the Americans, because if you don't have your hand on the weapon, if you don't have the weapon in your hands, and the criminal have it in his hands, you are definitely going to either die or be seriously injured.
Chris, our police
unfortunately,
officers,
if we look at all our crime.
Yes, Chris, are police officers being targeted for their firearms generally? We just want to understand the extent to which robberies of firearms have motivated these kinds of attacks, and related to this, whether it might be in the best interest of police to disarm even when on duty.
No, I don't think the robbery of firearms, look, these attacks on police stations, there the motive is clearly firearms. But there are many other situations where police officers are killed. Most of them are actually killed when they are on the point of arresting criminals, where they go to arrest criminals, or where they corner the robbers in a corner, in a firefight, and they want to arrest them. That is where most police officers are injured and killed. Also, police officers are sometimes just killed. The suspects don't even know that they were police officers. We have many examples of, on the same day that the Noble incident happened, there was a police officer killed in the north of Pretoria, in Mabopane, by house robbers. So we find many different situations, and there is no real evidence that they are only shot for their firearms. But you must remember, if they shoot police officers, say in a shootout, and the police officers are incapacitated, they will take the firearms automatically, because police officers have got firearms which are of much worth to criminals, especially to robbers.
Chris, this is not a uniquely South African problem. There are local and international precedents for what can be done effectively to improve the management of the use of force while policing and also balancing this with police safety. What should be done to minimize tragedies right now?
Well, I think on the attacks on police stations, one will have to take special precaution so that in the middle of the night, and especially these small satellite stations, these small little rural stations, you don't have a situation that the police are totally caught off guard. You will have to have people who watch the station, police, guards basically, to see that here a group of men arrive with firearms and that they are going to attack the police station. So that is something that will have to be looked at. What is the safety at our police stations, especially in the night when there's a skeleton staff? Then also the training, the ordinary training of police officers on a daily basis, firearm training, squad training, the training to be streetwise, training to know that they must always be cautious. And it is actually training and retraining. It's not only the new recruits. The older police officers should always be made aware very regularly that this is a very dangerous job and that you should always be prepared for the worst.
Dr. Chris de Kock joining us from our Pretoria studios. Thank you for your time on the SABC News Desk. I do wish we had a little bit more time to discuss this very pertinent issue, but we'll leave that for another day. Peter has more for you.
Keshini, thanks. The ANC